When's the last time you ached for someone in your life? You ached for someone in your midst. You ached for one of your neighbors. You ached in your heart for someone at your workplace. When's the last time you felt compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd? Do you care? Do you care? Look at what we see in verse 36. I'll read verse 35 and 36 again. Matthew 9, 35 and 36. And Jesus went throughout all of the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every affliction. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Something happened in Jesus when he saw the crowds. What was it? Something happened in him. He had, it says, compassion for them. He had compassion for them. Jesus is both teacher and healer. He's well known. He's sought after. He has crowds around him all the time. While these throngs of people could no doubt be exhausting for Jesus. Remember, he would retreat some. He never lost his temper with them. He never said, hey, get the security around here. Let's get that guy out. He never did anything like that. When he saw them, he ached in his inner bowels. That's what compassion means. You ever looked upon someone and hurt in your inner being? Like you literally felt pain. There was this grab hold in your gut at the deep gut level. Interestingly, there's a physiological connection to compassion. Jesus' compassion was felt at the gut level. We talk about things pulling at our heartstrings. It's not just verbiage. There's actually a connection to our bodies. You see, the vagus nerve runs all the way from our brain to our gut. It controls our digestion, our heart rate, and our immune system. Some call it our second brain. In a study called Measuring Compassion in the Body, what happens in vagus may make or break compassion. Here's what the research showed. The vagus nerve appears to be intimately tied to experiencing compassion towards other people's suffering. More specifically, these studies show that what happens in your vagus nerve affects whether or not you can handle the feelings provoked by another person's suffering and whether or not you'll feel concerned and motivated to help. When we have compassion for those in need of Jesus, it literally does something to our bodies. Like, I have to get involved. I have to. You talk about a burden. When you feel it in your gut, you're weighed down by it. You ache in your soul. So as we ask the question, are you looking and do you care? We have to ask the deeper question, what is it that Jesus observed that made him ache in his soul? Look at Matthew 9:36c. What did he observe? He observed that they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Harassed and helpless. This is a problem for Jesus for two reasons. First, no one should be harassed and helpless. No one should be bullied and oppressed. They were bullied and oppressed. They were beat down by someone else. And this made them unable to rescue themselves. They felt helpless. They're unable to rescue themselves or escape their tormentors. That's what this harassed and helpless looks like. See, God's original design was for man to rule and reign and exert dominion over his creation, to rule and multiply. It was never for someone to rule over others. And this is part of the fall of mankind. This is part of the brokenness of the world. The second piece here is the irony that the people had plenty of religious leaders who were to be their shepherds. But these were often the ones creating the oppression. Like sheep without a shepherd. The people would have understood this. The disciples would have understood this. Because in two different places in the Old Testament, at least, we have this reference to sheep without a shepherd. The first is in Numbers chapter 27. God is finished with Moses' assignment. He's like, all right, Moses, it's time for you to go up into the mountains, go up to that mountain and look out over the promised land, observe it, and then it's time for you to die. And Moses is like, well, okay, God, I've been shepherding these people for a long time, and if my assignment's over, would you make sure they have a shepherd? Notice Numbers 27, 16 and 17. Moses requests of the Lord, let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation who shall go out before them and come in before them, who shall lead them out and bring them in, that the congregation of the Lord may not be as sheep that have no shepherd. Moses is done with his assignment. His work is done. He's gonna go die, right? But his request, as he's been shepherding them for 40 years, is, God, would you make sure you raise up a shepherd for them? What does a shepherd do? What does a shepherd do for his sheep? He leads the sheep. He feeds the sheep. He protects the sheep. He anoints the sheep with oil to keep the flies and gnats off of their face, to keeps the predators away. He waters the sheep, right? Hems them in safety at night. Jesus sees the crowd, and they're like sheep without a shepherd. And he aches in his soul. I believe Jesus is the fulfillment of the shepherd that God is giving in Ezekiel chapter 37. In Ezekiel 37, Jesus' ministry is the beginning of this, but Ezekiel 37 is a messianic, prophetic, still to be fulfilled prophecy about the Good Shepherd, okay? And notice what we see in Ezekiel 37, 24 and following. My servant David shall be king over them, and they shall have one shepherd. They shall walk in my rules and be careful to obey my statutes. They shall dwell in the land that I gave my servant Jacob, where your fathers lived. They and their children's children shall dwell there forever. And David, my servant, shall be their prince forever. I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I will set them in their land and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in their midst forevermore. My dwelling place shall be with them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Then the nations will know that I am the Lord who sanctifies Israel, when my sanctuary is in their midst forever. This is still to come for Israel. And Jesus is that good shepherd who will shepherd them. They will have one shepherd. So his ministry is the inauguration of witnessing to the nation of Israel and being their shepherd. He's the one who teaches and leads and heals the people. He's the true shepherd of Israel, and his ministry is that beginning point of this restoration and this eternal kingdom. So part of the way that you know you're burdened with the gospel is that you actually ache for others in your soul. When's the last time you ached for someone in your life? You ached for someone in your midst. You ached for one of your neighbors. You ached in your heart for someone at your workplace. When's the last time you felt compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd? See, when we bring all that we are to our Lord, all of our life, all of our testimony, all of our story, all of our mess, we say, here we are. When God takes our mess, he cleans us up, he strengthens our lives, and he gives us a message. He gives it, when we bring it to him and submit all that we are to him, he gives us a message. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see someone else making the same errors you made, taking the same road you took, doing the same things you did, and you're going to go to them because you ache for them. And you're going to try to help them. You're going to try to watch over them. You're going to try to rescue them. You're going to reason with them about the Lord. That's what burden in action looks like. Your story sanctified, then used of God to pull people out of the darkness into light.